Greetings and salutations. I am Castellan Avigma, also known as Taran Linen over on the Total War Center, and welcome to a brand new video thingamabobber. I've already recorded this once already, and I forgot to turn on the audio, so I'm re-recording it. So, as requested by a few people on the Order of the Swan Discord, yes, I am a part of that Discord. You can find me there, mostly in the games discussions, where I occasionally post images of what I'm working on or other things. So, by the request of a few people there, I'm gonna make some tutorial videos on how I go about making my weapon assets. So I'm gonna do this from the beginning of that stage, which is the design, or usually I'll hunt down some images that I like of some weapons, and I will make them I will build the model off of the image, because it's usually the easiest to get the proportions right to work off of the image. And in this case, we're not going to be doing that, or at least I'm not. You can still do that. A lot of what I'm going to do in this mini-series you can do with any other weapon, but if you want to sort of have an idea of how to design a weapon, you can watch this. Though this video is not completely necessary to watch. It's just the beginning stages of design, essentially. So, I've got my canvas set, a little bit of prepping before I start this re-recording. Essentially, it's going to be a little different and maybe possibly a little shorter. So, I want to make a polearm. Usually I make axes, swords, and war picks, maces. This time I'm going to make a polearm, which I haven't really done. I did practice earlier on making a spear out of just a cylinder. That was a bit interesting. So this may be a little more interesting when I do make it. This may be a weekly series. I make one episode a week and release it a week with a few things mixed in, so it's not completely boring, I suppose. So let's just get the shape of the haft. I want this to have probably an octagonal cross section. So we're gonna that's going to be our haft, and we can just do our cross section. That is not how a straight line works. We're going to make it a little wider, I think. So that's our cross section. This is just to keep it a little more realistic. It would help with edge alignment. So that's very important. Having an idea of what the actual shape is going to be, and it usually was. Most polearms did have a sort of octagonal cross section. Mostly because of the beveling they would do on the edges. It was usually squared off. So this is going to be more comfortable, but these corners here may actually cause a little more issue in reality, since they're still pretty harsh, not enough beveling, but we want to keep this reasonably simple, the haft decent, so it doesn't require a whole lot of vertices to make it up. So this is essentially just going to be the two ends with the vertices, and of course fitting appropriately. That's going to be one of the bigger things. things. And we're going to make the blade of this polearm along with its socket. There is a mosquito that's trying to go to my face, which is a pain in itself. We're going to have this taper quite a bit. We're going to give it some langettes. These are, I want to model these in, make these actual modeled into the haft, but if I can't do that, we'll just make it a texture. But problem with texturing is getting the right look. This is where our rivets are going to go. Those are definitely going to be modeled in. I should also move this. So I'm going to grab you. That is not how you do that. And we're going to move you a little further this way. You can of course come up with your own in Photoshop. I just use Krita because Krita is dirt cheap in the fact that it costs zero money, which is great. I remember when Photoshop was a pay once thing and not a monthly subscription. Got a hell of Adobe. So we're going to taper this in, but it's going to swell up again. And we have this little hook down here for grappling. This circular, semicircular cutout is just for looks. Let's get that in. And let's also clean this up just a tad. So that's essentially the shape of our glaive bill thing. To be honest, I have no idea what you would even call this thing. It's very hybridish as a weapon. It most definitely would have the cutting power of a glaive. That is not set to 10. Come on. Good enough. But it's also got potentially out. I just hit my desk. Oh god. With it's probably got the reach of a halberd, maybe. I don't know. It's a very unusual looking weapon. That is not what you want to do. What is very unique, though, is giving it a false edge, which you don't usually see in polearms, since you don't need to really use the other side of a blade. Of course, some did have it, some didn't, and oh god, I am tired. So we got that. Let's extend this. That is not what I wanted to click. So with this, we've got our blade, our haft. We need a butt for the pole arm. So I'm going to keep it pretty simple and add some more lames because lames are cool and they would actually be pretty viable, but not really for the butt end of this pole arm. I'm going to flare those out just a tad. This is all just concept art, so you can keep it a little roughish. So we've got that shape now. It's most definitely going to be either turning into a diamond cross section or a main octagonal here, but I think maybe a hexagonal would work better. Actually, no, that's still octagonal. I'm being an idiot. And again, that's not new, so I think that would be a good shape for that. I could just erase that, but I'm lazy. Here, I think, let me just take this a little more. I'm going to have it transition from this shape here to a little more elliptical, or even just circular cross section for here. Here in this blade area, I think making it a hollow grind would be very good. This area is going to be a flat, so it'll just look like this. And we can have the hook actually taper. And maybe we'll give it a blade, I don't know. We'll see about that. But that's mostly the shape we're going with. Again, I have already designed this, but this is essentially giving me a second chance to revise the design. I do have it, the original, partially colored. That is not where I go. Create artwork. This one. This is essentially what we're going with. Sort of textured, not really. Bit of a mahogany haft. Here I went into sort of plan out how I'm going to shape parts of this. If you're wondering what the hell this is the cross section of the cylinder, which I might use the most as a preset model. Because I use Milkshape, I don't use Blender, mostly because I am essentially an idiot when it comes to it, and oh god, I dropped my stylus. So I'll be doing a lot of this in Milkshape, which is actually a pain to record on, so that'll be interesting. Yeah, so I think with a lot of this design essentially done, and the planning, those pretty much look identical. So that's essentially our idea for a lot of this. Should also add in this to get an idea of how this is going to be shaped. So that's going to be interesting to actually shape, because usually the blades are the most difficult part to design. But here I'm being a little ambitious with the land jets. And I want to make them, I want to model them into the actual thing, but the only issue is how I would actually do that. I could find a way to use a different technique essentially to do this, but not entirely sure. We'll see when I experiment, and then, because I usually experiment before I make a model, I'll experiment this construction. This will benefit from whatever I figured out for this, and the haft is literally just that. It's an octagonal shape. It's not going to be all that complicated to model, so that'll be interesting. This will, of course, each episode will come out roughly within once a week. If there isn't one every week, it's probably because I put a different video in between those, so it's not exhausting to watch modeling or just modding in general. I'll have something mixed in, probably. But yeah, if you guys want to see more of anything, if you guys want to know how to design weapons like swords or axes, maybe even just spears like this, or polearms, or even armor, that's usually something people tend to screw up on, in my opinion. People tend to make it very fantastical and can't really function properly. So I might actually make a video on how to design armor, or armor design and mechanics, armor mechanics. So but I don't know, leave your suggestions in the comment section. I doubt anyone will. But yeah, this is of course just a hobby of mine. Modding will always be a hobby. These videos are really here to help people who want to learn how to do this kind of stuff. And yeah, if you guys want to see more, just tell me. That's all I really need to know, is just say, I want to learn more, how can I learn more? And that's it. So I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever that will be. So, see ya.